Welcome to the 2018 Girls Lacrosse Youth Rules Interpretation. The purpose of this video is to highlight key areas of the youth game. The main differences at each level are noted, as well as the rule changes to the youth game starting in 2018. The different rules of the game will be presented in three main topic areas. 1. Those that have to do with the field, equipment, personnel, and teams. 2. Those that refer to timing and starting and restarting play in various scenarios. 3. Fouls and how fouls are penalized. Finally, any changes to the rules will be highlighted. Field, equipment, players and their gear, goalkeepers and their gear, field dimensions and lines. The youth game is played on fields ranging from a full regulation 120 by 60 yard size field that is used for games played at the high school and above levels, to fields as small as 35 by 60 yard fields for younger players. Field size is determined by the age and physical abilities of the players. 14U and 12U games shall be played on a regulation field. This field includes 12-meter fans, 8-meter arcs, and a restraining line that is 30 meters from the end line. 10U level plays on a small-sized field. This field tends to run cross-field and has an 8-meter arc and the midfield line that serves as a restraining line. Game equipment. Game equipment varies depending on the age of the athletes. Younger players will use smaller sticks and softer balls, while older youth players will use regulation sticks and NOCSI-approved balls. Goal size may also vary. Although regulation 6x6 foot goals are required at the 14U and 12U levels of play, younger athletes may use smaller goals. Personnel. Coaches and officials. Coaches are required at every level of youth play. However, where the coaches are allowed to coach from varies depending on the age of the athlete. In the 14 and 12U game, coaches are required to remain on their half of the sideline. In games with younger athletes, coaches may move the entire length of the sideline, and in some cases, one coach may be allowed on the field. Small-sided games at the 8U level may be officiated by one official. However, 2 officials are recommended for the 10U and higher level of games. Player equipment. At all levels of youth competition, players are required to wear some type of protective equipment such as mouthpieces and eyewear. Players also use sticks that vary depending on the size of the athlete. Younger players have modified or no pocket depth regulations, while 12U and 14U players shall play with a regulation pocket. Goalkeeper equipment. When goalkeepers are used, they must have the following equipment: a helmet that meets NOCSI standard with a face mask and separate throat protector, a chest protector, padded gloves, padding on their pelvic area as well as upper and lower leg area, a mouthpiece. Goalkeepers are used at the 10U and older levels of play. Teams. 12U and 14U games are played on a regulation size field and are played 12 versus 12, one of those players being a goalkeeper. 10U games are played on a small-sided field, and therefore these games are played 8 versus 8, one of those players being a goalkeeper. 8U and 6U shall play 4 versus 4 and 3 versus 3 respectively, and shall not use goalkeepers. Timing, starting, and restarting. Coin toss. Prior to the start of all games, coaches and team captains will meet with the officials for a coin toss to determine what team will have the first alternate possession. At this time, the coaches will certify their players' equipment meets safety standards. Timing. Youth games are all running time. The clock stops only on timeouts, injuries, and cards. Each level plays a slightly different timed half based on player age. 14U and 12U play 25 and 20-minute halves, respectively. 10U play 18-minute halves, and 8U and 6U both play 12-minute halves. It is important to check with your league or tournament directors to find out how long halves will be and if there will be timers provided. Starting play. At the 14U, 12U, and 10U levels, each half is started with a draw. Only 3 pairs, including the 2 players drawing, are allowed between the restraining lines during the draw. All other players must remain behind the restraining lines until possession is gained, a foul occurs, or the ball crosses either restraining line. This year, players behind the restraining line may reach their stick over the restraining line and touch the ground with their stick. Players are still not allowed to step on or over the restraining line when attempting to play the ball. At the 8U and 6U levels, play is started with possession by one team at the center line. Following goals, a draw will be administered for the 14U and 12U levels. At 10U games that are played with a goalie, the goalkeeper gets a free clear after a goal with the opponent cleared up and out of the 8-meter. At the younger levels of youth play, following a goal, the team that was scored upon shall receive the ball to either side of the goal, and opponents will give them a 4-meter cushion to restart play. Boundary. When the ball goes out of bounds, the official shall blow the whistle to stop play. The team that last touched the ball or stepped on the boundary line while carrying the ball will lose possession. Play will be restarted in the field close to the location the ball went out of bounds. If the ball has gone out of bounds as a result of a shot, the closest player to the ball when it crossed the boundary line will be given possession inside the boundary, close to where it left the field of play. Foul restarts. Following all fouls, the restart is a free position for the opponent. The offending player is placed 4 meters away from the player restarting play for a minor foul, and 4 meters behind the player restarting play for a major foul. If a cardable offense is committed, the offending player shall go to the table or bench area, and no other player shall be placed 4 meters behind the ball except at 10U level. The player replacing the carded player is placed 4 behind, since they do not play short. Substitutions. Substitutions can be made after goals or during play at all levels. Substitution during play is also known as subbing on the fly. Players exiting the field should be off the field before the player entering the field comes on the field. At 10U level and below, players may sub during any stoppage of play. Regular substitutions are encouraged in order to allow all players maximum playing time. Fouls. Fouls are categorized into 3 areas: minor fouls, major fouls, cardable fouls. At the 6U and 8U levels, fouls are all based on safety and development of players. Cards are not given at these levels. However, players who play dangerously may be removed from the field and replaced with a sub. No major changes to the youth rules have occurred. Details about all fouls can be found in the youth rule book. This year's points of emphasis at the youth level are the 3 important areas of the game that are of high priority and officials should be diligent in calling in order to keep the game safe. Shooting space. Shooting space, also known as obstruction of free space to goal, is a major safety concern in the game of girls lacrosse. Players do not wear body protection, and therefore standing in the free space to goal and potentially being hit with a shot is dangerous and should be called immediately. Officials at the 14, 12, and 10U levels must recognize when shooting space occurs and quickly whistle this for players' safety. In order for shooting space to occur, the ball carrier must be in the 12-meter fan and above the goal line extended, must have an opportunity to shoot, and there must be a defender in the free space to goal that is not marking an opponent within a stick's length. In order to see this foul and have the ability to call shooting space, officials must have an awareness of the space between the ball carrier and the goal. Although this can be a challenging call to understand, especially for those that have not played girls lacrosse, officials must work to gain an understanding of the foul and when it should be called. Illegal stick-to-body and body-to-body contact. In the game of lacrosse, even at the youth level, contact between players does occur. Opposing players often legally contact each other while picking up a ground ball, marking, or defending, as well as while carrying the ball. Whether this contact is incidental or intentional, it may be legal. Officials need to identify when contact illegally occurs between opponents. If contact is made that pushes, displaces, or physically forces an opponent out of their position or off their path, this is illegal. Defenders may not hold their stick in a horizontal position and make stick-to-body contact with an opponent, nor may they use their stick to hit, push, or displace their opponent. Any of these actions, as well as body-to-body contact that pushes a player off their path, should be penalized. Stick in the sphere and dangerous play near opponent's head and neck area. It is the responsibility of the defender to keep her stick out of the sphere and throat area of the ball carrier. Defenders may not hold their stick in their opponent's sphere or swing their stick through their opponent's sphere at any time. This should be called immediately for safety reasons. Also, when players are running and carrying the ball in transition, their defenders must not hold her stick in front of the ball carrier's head, neck, or chest area. Modified checking. Modified checking at the youth level is allowed. Modified checking refers to an opponent checking the ball carrier's stick when the ball carrier's entire stick is below her shoulder. Any check above the shoulder, into the sphere, or forcing the opponent's stick into the sphere constitutes an illegal check. The offender is placed 4 meters behind and all other players are 4 meters away. Check to the head and a slash are mandatory cards. Thank you for watching and good luck in your season.